Hi, you're listening to The Comedian's Tea Party with Deaves. Fair warning, this podcast may contain adult content. It may not. I don't know. I never really have a plan. So let's listen on and find out. Hello. Welcome to episode 40 of The Comedian's Tea Party with Deaves, and this week my guest is Leyton, the self-acclaimed PR princess. Very, very enjoyable conversation. She's probably the newest of the comedians that I've had on as a guest, but she's rising fast and is great fun. I did a gig with her the other week online for Outside the Box, which was really enjoyable and did very well, so asked her to come on the podcast, and here we are, and it is a very enjoyable conversation indeed. We laughed a lot the entire way through, which is what you want really from a conversation. I think it was really fun. We cover sort of quite a lot. We talk largely about comedy really, and it's just an enjoyable conversation. We talk about sort of various things in life. Vix tells me about Ceylon tea a little bit, which I've never had, and Lapsang Souchong, also never had that, and Glengettie tea, which I had never heard of. So I looked that up, and that also looks quite nice. So I'm gonna. There's so much tea that I've never tried before. Like the conversation with Eureka before, we were talking about bubble tea. She can take me to the bubble tea places. Looking forward to that, and looking forward to trying these other ones as well. If Ceylon is indeed Vix's go-to, I won't spoil it for you. I'll let her tell you during a podcast. We also talk about how dairy milk support bullying, which they show in their adverts. And we also talk about how Pret encourage psychopathy. Pret a Manger, that is. They really support and nurture psychopathy. But hey, thanks for the free stuff in the past. It's really nice of you. Vix also absolutely calls me out on something that I said on the last episode, because I was asking if you want to send me some cash on kofi.com/Deaves. Send me some cash to support the podcast and help me keep it running, because it costs money. So I was asking for support if you can, and she rightly pointed out that I made it sound like the guests I've got are not good enough. They absolutely are. I love them. I love every guest that I've had on. They've all been absolutely brilliant, and I look forward to having more on. It was just a reference to the fact that agents want me to pay them money to have their act on. But I just want to point out that that is absolutely not the case. I love it, all the guests that I've had on. And I'm very grateful for their time. Speaking of their time, I mean, Vix, during this conversation, should have left. I've edited some of it out so that it just flows as conversation, but about the 35 minute mark, she does let me know that she's got to go in a minute because she has a work meeting. And then after she let me know, we carried on talking for about another hour. It was fine. She postponed it, and that's just that's how kind she is. She postponed her actual work meeting because we were having such a nice time talking. So, lovely. I'll see you at the end with links and that sort of thing. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Very well, yes. Enjoying the return to normal life.
Yes. I mean, are you in an office?
No, this is my house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't been allowed back into the office yet. I'm quite excited about it. I'm one of the few people that's had enough of work from home.
Yeah, well, I've been working in Screwfix for the past 4 months, so that has just been, other than the fact that we're all wearing masks and behind screens and that sort of thing, it's all sort of business as normal. So I am looking forward to lockdown again. No, I'm not. That's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
No, very much looking forward to real gigs, which is
a reality. It feels remote. I'm not going to believe it until one's happened, I don't think, because I've had a few false starts on it.
Yeah.
Where people thought they could get around the rules, and you're booked in, and then you get the email that, oh no, the council's heard about it, and actually we're not going to do this gig this week.
Oh yeah, well, I absolutely did not actually do one the other week, and it wasn't awful, so...
Completely within the understanding of the rules that you had at the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, sure. No. Following the same rules that I followed to get married, which was loosely accepting what it said and reading it as I needed to.
I think that's a good approach to life.
Yeah. But so obviously both those things were lies. I did do a gig and it was awful. So
Oh no.
yeah.
Weird to be back, or just people have forgotten how to behave,
No, well,
forgotten how to use your arms and legs.
it was a little bit. It just felt like a normal gig in that the audience were just sort of on and off. Like, have you gigged much in Essex?
No, I've got my first one in a couple of weeks actually with Ross McGrain.
Yeah,
Little Smash.
Cool.
So
yeah, this gig was.
Should I not look
him.
forward to it?
No, where is it? Temple Calf.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a lovely gig. I've done it several times, but for some reason on this one occasion. So occasionally in Essex, you will find gigs. Audiences. Don't get me wrong. Quite often they'll be absolutely lovely, but every now and then, they'll have the sort of the face of, yeah, we like this guy, cool. No. And then that's it.
Tell your face.
Yeah.
Make the sounds that I need to hear.
And they just do nothing. And there was a woman in the front row who just sat there with a face of absolute confusion for the entire set. And but I'd not been on stage.
Worse than not liking it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like
in a way, it's like you've got no strong response to me at all.
Yeah.
But you can summon no emotion.
Hate me or love me. Those are your options. Let's not just go down the middle. That's dull. No one wants that.
I mean, I did King Gong on Friday, so that sounds like a delight compared to my experience of my night.
Yes,
so.
I saw your status and it sounded horrendous.
It was, but it's meant to be, which I guess I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Like, you hear about it, but you assume a certain level of respect and politeness from an audience, even when you've had what you consider to be a bad gig. All bets are off. They were brutal. They were booing people that lasted for 3 minutes.
Really? Are they only 3-minute sets?
Yeah.
On Zoom?
Well, you're lucky if you get through 3 minutes. I got 1 minute 51. And to be honest, basically how it works is people have designated red cards. And if you get, I think, 4, then you have to come off. I was looking for something red on my desk so I could be my own last red card because I had lost the run of myself. I was having an out-of-body experience, basically, because I knew I was still on and I didn't understand why, because clearly nobody liked me, but no one was taking that final step on my behalf. So, yeah, I think they should offer you a red flag option as well, where you can just shut your laptop and go, do you know what? This isn't for me. My ego is too fragile. But as it is, I'm going to do it again because I came off it and I was like, right, I'll get you next time. So I'm going to do the live one. At the Comedy Store in London, which is going to be even worse.
Well, it might not be too bad. I did it on Halloween, which obviously was always, but it wasn't like near Halloween. It was on Halloween, and there was a row of guys dressed as Grim Reapers who
it's a bit on the nose.
Yeah, and they each had like one of those sort of 4-pint jugs of beer. And they were just drinking straight from those. So
you know you're going to have an interesting night when that's the level of drunk on the room.
There's a little zone at the side where the comedians are sitting. They're all just looking at them going, shit. And it was brutal. And I walked on stage.
To be fair to them, I was genuinely terrible. That's the worst I've been in a long time. So.
Oh, really?
I think I let the nerves of it get to me because I watched the first 5 acts. Live and die.
It is terrifying, though. It's a terrifying gig. But I walked on stage, said hello, and then someone shouted, "You're a c-." So
that was a strong start then.
Yeah. It felt good, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't started yet." And the first joke got a laugh, and then someone else shouted like something else, and I was like, "But you like what I'm doing? Why do you hate me?"
It was so weird. They just wanted to.
They just didn't like my face. Yeah.
They're just a very specific type of person. My friend who won it said she just basically turned her headphones off and delivered the set as though there was no audience.
Smart.
And didn't show fear. So I think they want to break you. So I think they could leave you on, which is how I think I suffered through the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, they
wanted to hurt really want to see you lose the run of yourself rather than just gong you off with your self-esteem still intact.
To be fair, a breakdown is enjoyable.
Yes, but yeah, I was quite galvanised by it. And up until that point, I wouldn't have been able to give you my worst gig. Because I've had some mediocre gigs, but I've done enough rooms with like 5 people and a dog to not really
that sounds lovely.
feel too hurt by a nonplussed response. But now I've got one.
Yeah.
I've got a worse gig.
See, one of my favourite
So-
gigs was, it was the last time I did my first show in Edinburgh, and there were, like, the day before I'd pretty much sold out, and it was lovely, and then the last day there were two people, and I was like, let's not do this, and I said to them, like, what do you want to do? And they were like, oh, do the show, we're up for it, and I was like, oh, okay, and they seemed friendly, and I was like, they seem nice, and then one of them just said, do you want a beer? And I was like, yeah. So he just went out to the bar, bought me a drink, and I'd like chat to the other guy, and he came back and did the show. And like, I was gonna, 'cause I said to him, do you want me to just do like, 'cause while I was in Edinburgh, I wrote like another sort of 25 minutes of material, and I was like, do you want to just hear the new stuff? And they were like, yeah, sure. And I started doing, like, to get into it, I started doing the start of the show, and they responded really well. So I was like, oh, well, sod it, let's just do the whole show. So, and then it was just a really, really lovely gig to two people. So yeah, so it is possible.
Yeah, a lot of the London open mics are very scantily attended.
Yeah.
So you've got like two worlds. You've got bringers where the audience are not really necessarily worth anything.
Yeah.
Because they're there to support one friend and they're a hostage.
Yeah.
And a lot of them don't really understand what they're doing. Because when you're first, because I did some bringers when I first got going, and people are really excited, but they're excited just to see you.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And that's no good for anybody else in the room. And then you come off and they're so thrilled for you because it's gig 2 or 3. They're like, oh, you're much better than everyone else. Shh. Firstly, it's a lie. And secondly, it's rude. It's so rude. You're being rude. Or the other ones where the promoters are trying their best, but there's 100 nights on every night.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 like students from abroad that don't really know what they're doing. They just got rounded up from downstairs.
Oh,
and a
you've
couple
done
of hardcores. Oh, yeah.
That's what that gig is.
I've only ever done it in like between the lockdowns. It was quite busy because I think people were quite desperate to do anything.
Yeah.
So both the times I've done it have been surprisingly busy. I was warned.
Oh, okay.
That one.
I've done
it was actually all right.
I've done it twice because everyone always told me that you need a story of. I won't say his name because, slander. But everyone said, "Oh, you need a story," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I did it the first time, and it was lovely, and I had a really nice gig. I was like, well, that's not good enough. I need to do it again. And the second time, he rounded like 4 or 5 people up. There were 2 guys that went in there, and he sort of banded some homophobic abuse at them. They weren't together. They weren't even gay. But he was calling them gay, which was cool, obviously. Oh. And then there were 2 French girls that came up, and then he started being sexist and racist. So... And it was not xenophobic. He was being racist.
Glorious. Just what you want.
And then he forgot to bring me on. And then he noticed me.
That happened to me. I was the headliner that night.
Yeah.
Because he thought he'd done everyone. He was like, is anyone left? I was like, me. And I've sat through 30 other people for 2.5 hours. So I will perform.
Same thing. Yeah, exactly the same thing. And
I think the first half was 90 minutes without a break.
Classic. Yeah, that's good stuff. During his sort of homophobic abuse of the 2 guys, he said, I used to be gay until I saw this next guy, Deaves. And I was like, okay, thank you very much. And then but everyone else that was there knew what was going on, and they were like, that's amazing. So yeah, I've not done it since.
Best material there.
Yeah.
At your expense.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff.
Oh, I did that an online gig recently. I got brought on just before the host went on a weird tirade about trans people and whether or not they should be allowed to compete in sport. And it wasn't a joke. He was just thinking aloud by his own admission. He'd written some notes.
Who was
and
that?
He just wanted to talk about them.
I'll bleep
well,
that
we're not naming names here, are we? And the way it worked out.
Okay, but what was the gig?
He hadn't worked out how to spotlight you. So we're on Facebook, like the Brady Bunch, 9 of us in the square. And I'm aware that I am very, very passionate about trans rights. I've got some brilliant friends who have had a really tough time.
Yeah.
I did not want to acknowledge this material. I did not want to smile at this material. So I had to slow blink like that Chrissy Teigen gif through 7 minutes of this. And he was like, and here she is, my good friend, Vix Leyton. And I was like, we're not good friends and we're going to get through this together.
Oh, no.
What do you do in that scenario? Because it was like, I spent the whole time going, I don't support this. I don't really want to support a night that supports this. Do I just log off the Zoom?
Yeah.
What's the most unprofessional thing? Do I disagree? Do I get an argument going? I don't really want to derail the night. There are other acts here.
Yeah.
It was a really tough moment. I just didn't know what to do. So I just like roasted him
Did
in
you?
the opening minute.
Oh, good.
And said that, yeah, because he was talking about wrestling and how he wouldn't want to hit a girl. It's like, well, I'd like you to try me because I think I could take you. And yeah, then just carried on with my set, but with an aggressive edge to it.
Oh, that's good. I'd have been very tempted to just start that gig by saying, I mean, it's not the start of a gig, but I just want to point out that doesn't represent my views. And it's an awkward note, but then...
Yeah, the worst part was I don't think it represented his views. He was genuinely thinking out loud. But have a chat with your friends. Put it in a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
If you're not sure if trans women should compete in women's sports, do some reading about it.
Yeah.
Don't make it your show.
No.
Like, it's your choice to educate yourself.
That's a conversation for 2 a.m. when you've had one too many beers and you're a bit tired and you're not really thinking straight. You're like, have you ever thought about this? And chances are there'll be someone there who's equally drunk but righteous and will set them alight. But yeah, that's not good, is it? You don't want that.
Yeah, that was not my favourite gig, to say the least.
Yeah. So, because you said that you've not had many sort of, or any particularly bad gigs. How long have you been going?
2 years, but it's a funny 2 years, isn't it? Because the first year was in real life.
Yeah.
And then the second year was in the cracks of lockdown. So I've done like 80 gigs on Zoom, which is nuts.
That's loads.
Because I counted them all just out of pure interest.
Yeah.
Because, you get asked that arbitrary question of how many gigs you've done.
Yeah.
When you're pitching for some nights. So I was like, how many gigs have I done? But I ran my own gigs during lockdown as well. So I ran live gigs. I did some garden gigs in my local pub, which is my local venue. And it's Limehouse, actually. So it's probably, if you're Essex-based, probably not hard to get down here and do.
Yeah.
It's on the C2C line.
Ah, lovely. Well, I mean, I drive everywhere anyway, so...
But, we started when Angel, me and my friend Jez Ashkenazi called Comedy Kiss, which is new material night. And that went really well. So it's been a busy year. And I feel like it's not a popular opinion because it's been a hard year for everyone, but I think I've probably done better in comedy for this than I would have if I was still schlepping around open mic, because I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere fast, and the volume of gigs available and the quality of gigs I've been able to get on because I was Zoom proficient that's a big help. Put me on bills that otherwise wouldn't have given me the time of day. So it's been an interesting formative year for me, but I did 100 gigs in my first year. So I got into an argument with a promoter over when you could call yourself a comedian. And their view was you have to do at least 100 gigs. So I was like, okay, then I'll do that, will I? And
can I ask what promoter that was?
Gig. Yeah, did my 100th gig the week before lockdown. So.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. I did my 100th gig in Edinburgh 6 years ago. Something like that. 7 years ago? I don't know. Yeah, 6 years ago. That was lovely.
Purely fired up by Petty. Really inspired me to great things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a weird, arbitrary thing, because people will say, like, oh, you need to have done X amount of gigs, or like there's various gigs where they're like, oh, you can't do this gig until you've done 300 gigs. And you're like, yeah, but I'm already doing pro gigs and I'm smashing those. And
I've seen people who've done 300 gigs who are still shit.
That's it. Well, because
it's so arbitrary. Because you see people who've been on the circuit for 10 years and they're just happy doing the set that they wrote 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's great. But why do they get better opportunities than someone who is writing constantly, testing things, putting on their own stuff?
The answer to that is in the world of London, that's the only place where that counts. Outside of London, no one cares. They're like, "Are you good? Cool, come and do the gig," which is lovely. But I mean, I lost count. I didn't lose count. I stopped count. I did lose count because I was sort of counting, and then I started using my diary on my phone rather than my my physical one, because I couldn't be bothered to carry it around anymore.
I've got a big calendar that I write them on, because at the moment it's satisfying to have things to write on there. I got things to look forward to.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. I wrote a gig in my diary yesterday that is this month, like later this month. So it's got to be one of the first ones back. Where is it? It's just Comedy Cabin. Like
Oh, cool! I really love that gig.
It's a lovely little gig, but you know,
Pete Wells is great as
yeah,
well. Like, it's such a lovely room. I did
yeah.
the online one
Oh, okay.
a few weeks ago, and they were lush. They were just such a nice audience.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I was supposed to do an online one the other week, but I had to do something else. I think I was going out. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm not going out.
Going out?
Yeah.
What?
I think I
Where
was
were
looking
you
out the
going?
window that day. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe I had to work or something, but yeah, but it's a shame. But I'm doing the real one when I get back, which is lovely. So I'm very excited. But just to write that, and that showed up on my website on the diary, and I was just like, yeah, come on. And I've got some nice ones, some proper clubs in sort of. Not to say that's not a proper club. I mean, like, you know, several hundred seaters in a few months, which is it's just it's good to start getting stuff back again.
I'm doing backyard comedy on the 27th of May, and I'm so excited about it because that was my home venue when I lived in Bethnal Green.
Oh, was it?
In there all the time. So
yeah,
that's one of those gigs that you tick off and go, yes, that's the stage I wanted to be on.
Absolutely. That's one of the ones that I've got in July, which is cool. Right around my birthday time, so that's nice.
I'm 24th of July.
Oh, lovely. I'm 28th.
Show off your Leos.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
A shocker.
Who'd have thought? Have you played backyard before?
No, this time.
Oh, okay.
Very excited about it.
It's a nice gig. What are you doing a Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those gigs where as long as you're confident when you go up, like, you're all good. Show any weakness.
I've loaded the deck a bit. Everybody's really excited because it's a real venue that they recognise. So loads of my mates have bought tables.
Oh, really?
So it's going to be nice for me anyway.
Yeah.
Make them sit.
It's a lovely gig. It is a lovely gig, yeah.
And Rich Wilson and Callie Beaton are on as well.
Oh,
so
amazing.
I love both of them.
Yeah. I had Rich on this, and he at one time lived down the road from me, but because he's relocated to London for work, I think.
Yeah, West Ham.
Yeah.
So he's Southend adjacent.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's like 40 minutes drive. Sorry, my cat's trying to eat my foot.
That's all right. My cats have rediscovered a toy they haven't played with in about a year that makes a rattly noise because that's what cats are like.
Yeah.
So I was going to go and confiscate the ball, but I don't think you can pick it up. So
no. Yeah, I love Callie as well. She started around a similar time to me, but has just skyrocketed. She's done very well. And
I've not seen her in real life. I've only seen online gigs with her.
Oh, really?
So I'm quite excited about it.
Yeah.
As an audience member, I'm excited about this lineup as well. It's just nice to be on it as well. But
Yeah.
I've got a couple of gigs before that because that couldn't be my first one back.
No.
It's felt too high stakes.
Yeah.
But,
Temple Caf is a lovely gig for getting back to it. Normally they're absolutely lovely. So yeah, you're gonna have a nice time.
It'll be fine. And then I'm doing Sean James's gig on the Monday in New Cross.
So Happy Mondays.
And then backyard. So it's going to be a big week. Big week for live comedy. I'm doing my own new material gig tomorrow at the Cav just to make sure I know what to do with my arms and legs when the time comes because I've completely lost any consciousness of my body below my neck and shoulders. I did one a couple of weeks ago at the Cav as well. And I just forgot about mics and mic stands, and it was just standing there like a totem pole of my out of practice
well, you left it
all the way
stage,
through.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This one back since like December, and apparently I've lost all my skills.
It happens.
Good to find that out on my own show.
Yeah.
Where I'm only fucking up my own reputation.
So,
not to be
did you do? Because that was in venue with comedians, and was it like a Zoom audience?
Yeah, it worked all right actually. So we did the first one 3 weeks ago, and we're doing another one tomorrow. And I think we'll try and keep it going, but with hybrid, so with audience, but also live streams.
Oh, cool.
A lot of the people that come to the gigs are outside of London.
Right.
So my dad's found a new love of comedy. He comes to all my stuff. He texts me now and says, "Are you going to do any new stuff?" So I get trolled by my dad before gigs. Like, that's not how it works, Dad. I don't expect to come to all 12 of the gigs over the month.
Oh, that's funny.
But the Cav setup's incredible. They've invested so much money in it.
Have they?
It's like being in a TV studio. They've got like 4 different camera angles. One I hate, so I have to tell him tomorrow to switch that one off for me.
Yeah.
It adds no value to my experience.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I haven't been to the Cav in years because they primarily a bringer, aren't they?
Yes. But they're branching out a bit now because I think they've just got such a lovely venue and they've cracked the online that I think there's
Yeah.
loads of opportunity for them.
Oh,
And they
that's cool.
just love comedy, Sean and Dave. Like
Yeah.
they do it because they love it. And it's nice to be around people like that.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's a lovely gig. It's a really, really lovely gig. I had. I mean, it was very important to my formative years because when you're, London adjacent, like the London gigs are the only ones you can get to, and like you say, most of those have no audience. So yeah, you're sort of stuck in a situation where you have to go, like you have to try out new material, and because it's London, you have to do like 150 plus gigs to get on sort of various stages, which is madness. So you've got to go around. It's a weird situation. You're forced to do gigs that you absolutely hate in order to do gigs that you hate slightly less. And it's yeah.
Andrew O'Neill's Troy Club was always lovely.
Oh
Like that
yeah.
was a lovely gig. That was aspirational because he ran because they're non-binary.
Oh,
They ran open mic in the Unicorn in Camden that you could just rock up and go on.
oh cool.
And there was always an audience in for it. So that was a lovely gig.
Yeah.
It was dead leg comedy, but they relocated out to Milton Keynes, so
okay.
was suspended, which is a shame because that was my favourite to do, and it was a real stage as well.
Yeah.
It's a grungy little rock venue, but
nice.
that was one of my early gigs where I got to be on an actual real stage and feel like I was doing a real thing rather than being in the corner of a pub.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I've not done his gig yet. Sorry, their gig. Do you know what? I'm gonna edit that so that I didn't make a faux pas.
It's tough. I think by their own admission, they're okay with people stumbling.
Yeah, I've got
which is a really nice attitude to have.
Yeah, I've got a few non-binary friends, and if you slip up, generally they're like, "You did that wrong." Oh, sorry. Like...
But yeah, just genuinely lovely gigs. The vibe is always really nice.
Yeah.
So
cool. I'll have to. I'm gonna have to.
I've gone as a patron to a couple of them. That's how much.
Oh, really?
And when you get into comedy, that it becomes a bit busman's holiday to go to everyone else's gigs, and I always feel so guilty. I see the little Facebook invites coming up, and it's like, if I'm not on it, I'm not coming.
Yeah,
like, that's the real talk. If I'm doing 4 a week where I am on, that is not how I'm spending my night off.
Yeah. Because that's sort of the good thing about going to Edinburgh is like you're in it, so you just sort of go to other shows. But then
I'm gutted that I didn't get to do it. I was due to do it last year,
and
obviously it did not happen.
No,
so which is probably for the best because looking back, what I thought was 45 minutes is 20 at best.
Absolutely,
now.
Yeah. There was,
but I don't know how to not know that. Whereas I was so excited and so confident and just ready to just go and do it, and the longer time passes, the more I want it to be actually good. So I would like to recapture some of that naivety, but I'm not sure I'll be able to.
I think it's Andrew Ryan said to me, when you think you're ready for Edinburgh, wait another year, and then when that year passes, wait another year, and then go. And I was like, oh, okay, that's not bad advice actually.
Yeah, very uplifting.
Yeah.
Whereas Katie Brand said, just do it, because I remember I spoke to loads of comedians about it. Because I made friends with Katie Brand quite in that weird way that you can only do on Twitter.
Yeah.
So she was writing a book about dirty dancing, and
the film,
I was interested in contributing to it. And so I did.
Nice.
And we just got chatting. And then I met her at a Funny Women event when I just started in comedy. And we just stayed in touch, and she has been brilliant. She's been so supportive. Cool. But she took me for coffee just before the world closed down, because I got my Edinburgh venue and I wasn't sure because there were such polar views.
Yeah.
So like Katie said, absolutely, just go for it, run with it. Other comedians were like, no, split a bill with other people. Don't do your own thing. It will break you. And I didn't know which one to believe. Obviously, I took the positive one. I was like, yes. I like Katie Brand. I respect her. I love her comedy. She told me to do it. I'm going to do it. And it's on her if it goes terribly.
What venue did you have?
It was the Attic at the Mash House.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, at like 3:00 in the afternoon.
Oh,
so
that's
I just
perfect.
Thought I thought I could flyer all the other layers. Like my day job is PR. So I had all these PR ideas as well. Like I was working with a stadium Wi-Fi company
Wow.
to put Wi-Fi in my venue, and the only way you could get access to it, and it would have done the whole street. The only way you could get access to it would be to come to my show and get the password.
That's incredible.
And I would change it every day. So even if people didn't come to my show, they'd know about it because it was the only network that worked in that little conurbation of dead air.
Bloody hell. I mean, that's PR working for you all day long. Good grief. Good work.
Because my show's about pettiness, and what's more petty than having the best Wi-Fi in Edinburgh and not sharing it?
Yeah.
Like, what is more petty than that?
That's great.
So yeah, I was really excited about it, but there'll be other opportunities.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It'll come back, I should think. Probably. We'll see. No, it will come back. It will come back.
Brighton and Camden Fringe with it instead.
Nice.
A very rough version.
Yeah, but that's all right. I mean, the first time I did 40 minutes, it was like 40-ish minutes, and I didn't know how long I was doing, but it's one of Russ McGrain's gigs at the Alex, and when they come back, I fully recommend go to do those, because that is a beautiful gig that has been instrumental in my development over the years. But it helps that it's sort of 5-10 minutes down the road from me, but nevertheless a lovely gig. Always get a really nice audience, and it's a great place for me to go. And like I write, I'm quite prolific in writing, so I go and try new stuff all the time. And Ross always has me on.
all my 100 gigs, I did something new every night.
Did you?
Because I was so aware that I wanted a show at the end of it.
Right.
So I was just looking for all these petty strands that I could kind of weave together. So I never did the same 5 minutes. And then we got into lockdown, and people who had done the same 5 minutes were really slick and cool, and they had a nailed start and a nailed finish, and I just had whatever roller coaster rough cuts that I'd been working with. And I was so jealous of the people that had just stoically done that 5 and said it was good. But I think I've landed somewhere in the middle now.
Yeah. No, well, it's interesting, I think, because I did the same 5 minutes for a little while, then I started changing it up, like after a few months. And then I tried to do it 10, and that did not work. And then I went back to 5s for a bit, and then went back to 10s, and I just sort of kept throwing new stuff out there. And eventually, like, because you'd have your set, and then you'd replace bits in it with like better bits and better bits, and then try and get other bits. But then as you get better, you can rewrite the old bits and make those better. So it is interesting. But I think I quite like your approach. Obviously, it's good to sort of keep the same stuff in for a little while and work on that until it's good. But also just to sort of keep trying stuff. You learn to talk. That's the thing. A lot of the people who do the same 5 minutes are so stuck in their set and their script that that's all they do, and they don't learn to just talk to the audience, which is very important, I think.
And I think because of that, I can handle silence, because some of it didn't work, and I just didn't care. I was just like, cool, that didn't work, mentally took it off. I think I had this luxury that not a lot of people had, though, in that I was phobic of public speaking, which is how I started comedy. So for the first 6 months, I was so giddy that I was doing it. It did not matter how it went. Just the joy of being up there and not having a psychosomatic response and being sick on myself. That's all I cared about. And I was thrilled with myself. So it didn't matter how the set went. I've made myself, in anticipation of speaking gigs before, I have made myself sick. Like the last one that I did before I stopped trying to do public speaking and conference speaking, I was so nervous about doing it that I was convinced I had the norovirus because I couldn't stop being sick. And as soon as I emailed to say I couldn't make it because I, was banged to rights, I was being sick every 15 minutes. As soon as I sent the email, I stopped. And then I thought, why am I putting myself through this? This is not necessary.
Yeah.
And so I just stopped doing anything like that. But I hated it. I wanted to be at conferences, being the woman speaker that everybody wants to see in the world. I was whinging all the time about gammons speaking. Like, why is it all male, pale and stale people? And then people were asking me to speak, and I was like, oh, not me. I want the problem solved, but by somebody else.
You want me to speak to you?
So that's how I got into it. I did a course to try and get over the fear.
Cool.
And it was just an exhilarating joy to be doing it at all. So I think it did make me more fearless than other people, because I wasn't doing it with any goal in mind for the first few months. It was just to see if I could. It's just testing my boundaries. So yeah, it was quite a good place to be.
Yeah, nice. In which case, for your from your personal perspective, you've probably come from it from a perfect angle.
Yeah, and I've got more nervous again. Like it's come in circles really. I've got more nervous again now because I want it to be really good every time. And so I
Right.
think
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
anything, I'm more nervous than I was when I was probably mediocre, but I was delivering it with more confidence. So I was probably getting better results.
Yeah.
Like looking back at my old videos, like the writing's not great, but I was loving it. And I
Yeah.
think when people see you having a good time, they kind of go along with it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to enjoy it because that's the thing. It's the better you get, the better you want to be. So my aforementioned gig that I didn't do the other week
Yeah, completely not.
was actually quite good.
You
But
just happened to be at a summer fete where people were speaking.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But
Surrounded by bric-a-brac,
yeah.
like a modern speaker's corner.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, but if I'd done that gig years ago, I'd have been thrilled. But
Yeah.
because I'm sort of at the where I'm at, I was like, nah, whatever. Wasn't happy with that. I got laughs. It
Competitive
was
with
quite
yourself.
good. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's fine. But there you go. You do get better. But yeah, when I did that first 40 minutes, that's what I was saying, was because I know some people who love doing like a 20, a 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes sometimes.
I'm much better
They love
at
the
a 10
short
than a
sets.
5.
I
I'm proper long
absolutely
form.
love. Yeah,
Like my stories, the builds on them, they take a while, but they're worth it.
Yeah.
If you've got 5 minutes, you just don't have the luxury.
yeah.
Like I get so agitated on a 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hate 5 minutes. It's not a real set, is it? You don't get to stretch your legs. But I love anything above 15 minutes because you start to get to delve into yourself, and yeah, it's lovely. But the first time I did 40 minutes was such an absolute joy. It helps that there were about 70 people, like 70 of my friends in the room, so they were all sort of really enjoying that. But yeah, I just got to really stretch my legs and go like, here's all the stuff I've got, and some of it's funny, and it was lovely.
And if you don't think it's funny, then just believe it's the link between the next funny bit. 'Cause
Yeah,
that is
absolutely.
joy of long form. Yeah.
And
That's my favourite tip for people who are doing public speaking. Nobody knows where the beats are.
yeah,
Like nobody knows that's supposed to be the punchline unless you give it away.
absolutely.
So if you just game face it,
Because
then people just think it's a link.
if you say something and people are enthralled and they're listening, and you get to where the punchline should have been, they still don't know that there should have been a punchline there until you say,
exactly.
"Oh, that was the punchline." Yeah, and then, but that's sort of the exciting thing about it. It's sort of a thrill to scrabble to try and find a punchline to dig your way out of that hole, so that you're not letting them know that that wasn't the punchline. Yeah, oh, amazing.
We haven't even talked about tea.
No, we
I
haven't
was
at
ready.
all. Well, I mean, because you were saying, we'll get onto tea in a sec. Have you finished your other tea now? You finished 2 teas.
I have.
In the
I've now
time.
drunk 2 teas.
Yeah. Good. That's what I want. That's what you.
Which doesn't even touch me because I'm a PR person and I live on caffeine.
Oh, yeah, of
I'm
course.
like, I worry what would happen if I reduced my intake because I'm not sure if I've got a personality. I think it is just caffeine.
It's become a sort of shriveled husk of excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a shark, I've just got to keep swimming. all the time.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of the times I've been saying that I'll record these episodes again. Not again, like I'll record another one with all the people who I've recorded with over Zoom. Not all of them, some have been dull. Maybe I'll edit that out. We'll see.
I've got to say because I listened to your Eureka episode recently because I love her, and it's pretty harsh to be like, oh, pay at the Patreon so we can get better guests. Anyway, here's Eureka. It's like, oh,
that is, yeah.
Would you not have me on if you had budget for other guests?
No, that's not. No. No, I did realise how that sounded, but that's. Do you know? I don't even mean that. Like in any sense, because the people who are asking for money, it's not the guests, it's the agents, but they are like they're the paywall. Like I can't get to the guests. If I knew the guest personally and said to him, "Do you want to come do my podcast?" I'd be like, "Yeah, of course." But the agents are like, "Pay some money first, and then I'll let you know. And I'm like, well, I haven't got any money.
Or tell us
I've had to
what
start
your
working in
budget
screw
is, and
things.
you're like, I don't know. My budget is the least you're willing to take, and those conversations die so quickly.
Yeah, but I say to him, like, I can send them tea. Is that payment? Like, I think I'd be happy with that payment. I've got loads of tea.
Do you know what the agent would take, like, what, 20% of the tea bags?
Yeah.
80 bags, 20 tea bags will come out.
I'll send them 5 tea bags. They can keep their favourite one.
Yeah. It is tough because my podcast is 3 comedians,
right? Okay,
on each one, which is
like
even harder.
3 guests, or you and 2 other people.
Yeah, three guests at one time. That's me.
I knew that actually. I watched a video clip from it the other day,
and that is tough to get everybody in the right place at the right time, even if they're broadly in principle.
Yeah,
like coordinating diaries is probably 90% of what I do. If I had my time over again, would I do a 3-person panel show? I don't know. But we're 30 episodes in now, so we're going to have to keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. I've run out of favours as well.
Yeah,
now I'm just DMing people optimistically. Hello!
I will remove this bit for the sake of sort of saving his face. But when I did an episode with Matthew Crosby, and he said at the end of that, obviously, like, he like co-created Hypothetical and is on the radio with Ed Gamble, and I said to him, like, can you help me out? Like, can you help me get James or Josh or Ed or just any of the other Pappy's boys as well? I didn't just ask, but he added at the end, he was like, I've had such a nice time. If you want help getting any guests on, let me know. And I was like, that's so kind. Thank you so much. And then I sent him a list of people, and he hasn't done it.
People,
it's fine. He's a busy man.
You don't realise the power of a favour, though, do you? No. In terms of how hard it is to get one.
Yeah.
Like, even with like booking my nights, where you're like, can you ask this person if they're free? And it's easy to say yes, but then I guess it's when you're asking for favours yourself all the time, because I feel like comedy lives and dies on all these little favours and barters. It's like, oh, you come on mine out, I'll do yours.
Yeah.
It's a complicated infrastructure of.
Yeah, it really is. But he's such a lovely guy. Have you met Matthew?
No, not yet.
He's a lovely, lovely guy.
I've had, there's only one episode of Arcade that hasn't gone out, because sometimes you just don't get the chemistry right with 3 people as well.
Yeah,
and
that's tough.
Yes, and then they ended up on the cutting room floor. But that's tough, because you just don't know who's going to get on or who's going to like each other or what the vibe is going to be until everybody's in. And because it's a Zoom call as well, it can be even harder to kind of break the back there.
Yeah, I mean, the joy of comedians is generally you get them all in a room and they'll have some kind of common ground, but not always.
Yeah, not always.
So did you start your podcast before lockdown?
No.
Oh, okay.
It was attention-seeking efforts in the deepest, darkest of the first lockdown, and I did it over Twitch because I was jealous of everybody else doing things on Twitch. So
yeah,
I started a Twitch thing, but it was a bit slow going for me. And so you have to like put the work in and build the community and do a certain amount of hours a day.
Yeah,
and that's not really my vibe.
Yeah.
So I was doing one a week, and it was really fun. But it wasn't really building much of an audience. It was a lot of like friends and family indulging me, basically. But I liked it as a concept, and my friend works at Acast, so I pitched it to her. I was like, I think this could be a really good podcast. What do you think? And she said, I agree. And so it began. And I had the money that I saved from Edinburgh Fringe, so I invested that into getting a studio.
Oh, great!
And we did the first 10 episodes in a proper studio, and it was a dream.
Nice.
We'll never be able to afford to do it again. And I don't think it represented value, but it was so good to just turn up.
Yeah.
And the mics were all there. And I think everyone took it more seriously than they would have, because it was a proper studio. It just made it feel more professional for everybody.
Yeah.
So, and we got to record in person as well, because it was in between lockdowns. So technically you were allowed as long as you were social distance, and it was a workplace. So we got to do the first 10 with people in real life, which was lovely.
Yeah, very nice.
A real dream.
Nice.
It's a really good live show as well.
Yeah.
So I ran it at Leicester Comedy Festival and got shortlisted for Best Podcast,
amazing.
which was really exciting.
Oh,
I didn't
cool.
win, I didn't deserve to. Pappy's Flat Show did. But
Of course.
yeah, I'm hoping that will be my Edinburgh Fringe show, because I think I'd love to do like a few weeks of a different panel every day, because all the comedians that I've ever wanted to be on the podcast will be there. So
Now,
they've got no excuse to say no to
me. What I will say for doing it every day is that's a lot of admin. It's like
it is,
unbelievable
like,
headaches
I know
of admin.
enough people who will, like, I could populate it every day with people that I know from the circuit, and I'd have a good time doing it. So
I mean, you could probably just sort of accept that some people will be regular guests as well.
So Tom Tuck is basically my co-host. He didn't know it at the time.
Oh, I love Tom.
But he's become.
I need to get him on this actually.
My anchor. You should.
Yeah. I can't believe I haven't.
He's got a story for everything.
Yeah, he's incredible.
Like, because he's done the same category over and over again, because I think he's been on 10 of the 30 episodes.
Right.
And he's done the same category over and over again, and he's just got a ridiculous, cool story for each one.
Yeah.
So it's a dream to work with him. And because he knows the game well, he kind of picks it up and runs with it if people are struggling. So if I've given them a topic, because it's random topics that you have to jump in on, and people look like they need thinking time, he will jump in. He's a proper pro.
Oh, that's amazing.
And he's got the best voice in the world. It's a proper radio voice.
He really has. Yeah.
But yeah, him and Rich Wilson have basically been my anchors.
Yeah.
For whenever I've needed a guest, and you need someone who's going to fit.
Yeah.
With anyone.
Yeah.
So
malleable
like
folks.
I had Rich on with Robin Ince, and it was such a good chat.
That's good.
It was like
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to listen to more. I've only really seen like clips so far. I feel bad saying that, but
that's all right.
Yeah.
It's a big undertaking. The trouble is, I find them really hard to edit because it's all good, but I'm also aware that 45 minutes is probably the optimum amount of time, and they go over so often.
Yeah.
And I know that it looks like a big undertaking to listeners, but I just haven't got the heart to take out the stuff that I think is fun.
Yeah, of course. So... I mean, I had, I think my longest episode, actually the longest episode was with Matthew Crosby, but it was such a good conversation that like I know I did cut quite a lot out, but yeah, I just kept it long, and I had an hour and 40 minutes with Jordan Gray, but it was just an amazing conversation. So yeah, kept the whole thing in, and people listened, and like that's my wife's favourite episode with Jordan. So yeah,
I've got them on my list as a possible podcast guest actually, because I've decided to finish series 1 on 30 episodes and go into series 2, because I need to strip out some of the rules. Were convoluted for a reason, because I wanted it to be different to what else was on.
Right.
But they haven't taken off.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm stripping it down a bit. And
that's the case with some of my questions, because I have some team urgency questions that I'll throw in at the end, but some of them do not make sense, and I've become aware of that, and they don't always work. So it's like we've got a whole mega mix of me asking the panel at the start if they've read the email that I sent them with the rules in, because 99% of the time they have not. Yeah. Classic. I always read the email, because every now, like there'll be something that comes up and I'll be like, I know that. I know. I've read this. And
but it's just been a long-standing joke now. I'm like, who's read the email?
Yeah.
Who's got an excuse why they haven't?
Oh, the dog ate my email.
I need to put all the information in the subject line, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I need an elevator pitch for it. So I'm stripping out some of the rules, and I'm going to bring in, because I was block recording them, so just doing like as many episodes as I could in a week to roll out. But I think I'm going to just start doing them as close to weekly as I can manage, without being stressed out that I haven't got a safety net.
It is hard,
which means I can do some current affairs stuff, which would be nice. So some of the categories can just be like your favourite news story or Colin the Caterpillar, and make it a bit more, like bring a bit more relevancy to it.
Yeah. Nice. That sounds great. So what I was going to say, as I started a little while ago, we'll do another episode of this, because I've enjoyed this conversation. It's been very fun indeed. Because this is the first time we've spoken, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, it's just been really fun, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like we're in the pub.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this is a nice thing.
In a fancy cafe, Mediterranean cafe, for drinking tea.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people through during the lockdown that I wouldn't have otherwise met, just by sending them messages and sort of getting away with it. And I know some of them, like to some extent, but yeah, no, it's cool. It's been really nice. But yeah, I would like to re-record these in person. And as you were saying about sort of tiredness, and you are fueled by caffeine, Abigail Shimon gave me some tea bags that are they're like
not a euphemism.
no, they're very high in caffeine, and they have an energizing mate, which is another type of plant. And I had it on a podcast with Kieran Boyd, and there was so much energy in it that it made me shake and change colour. So
amazing. Whereas I'm so hardcore now.
Yeah.
I used to drink espressos out of Sports Direct mugs on busy days. I worked out you could get 9 espresso shots into a Sports Direct bucket, and I drank them.
That's unhealthy.
Yeah, I could hear colours. Like the yellow sounded like a triangle sounding. Yeah, it was a real special time. PR is a hard job. And I was up at like 4 a.m. because it was Black Friday and I worked for Deal site. So it was like, yeah, this has got me going. Deals! Bite your coat.
Yeah, so many deals.
Come on! Buy stuff you don't need!
Good grief.
Yeah, so I wouldn't, not an approach I'd necessarily recommend if a tea bag can change the colour of your face.
Yeah. What did blue sound like?
Like slime, like a blobby, like a glugging.
Interesting.
I guess maybe it's water based.
What was green then? Because I'd imagine that would be.
I don't know. I can't remember what green was. I can't remember a lot of things about that day. It might be related to the caffeine.
Yeah. It might be related to the coma.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give you one of those tea bags, and hopefully you will like that.
Yes, I would like that. Post me one.
So let's dive into some questions, because I imagine you're nearing time that you need to run away. So what tea have you been drinking?
This is just a basic bitch Ceylon, unfortunately, because that's all I've got in the cupboard. I've used all my fancy bags.
What's Ceylon?
Yeah, it's just a classic tea.
Oh, okay.
It's a classic tea flavour. It's like one up on Builders, I think.
That's
so if they haven't got English breakfast, that will be my second choice. If I'm somewhere that has tea.
I've heard of Ceylon, I think, but I don't know. I don't know what I don't like Earl Grey. No,
it's too floral.
Yeah.
I don't like a flowery tea.
Well, the thing is, I like a flowery tea, but that is too far the other way. As it happens, a friend of mine got me some Wittard teas for Christmas, and this one is black tea flavouring and hibiscus. And it's just a normal black tea, but it tastes sort of like a cross between black tea and Earl Grey, and it's right on the good side of it. It's very nice.
I've been getting into chai recently.
Oh, okay.
That's my thing.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, the quality is very, very irregular on them. So I've tried like 4 or 5 different versions, and some of them are just really feeble flavored. Some of them are too sweet. So I'm trying to find my chai blend. So I started by having the chai lattes, which is my understanding is it's a bit of a bastardization of an item.
Right. Yeah.
So there's like the local farm by me, the allotment kitchen, does a dirty chai latte, which is chai with a shot of coffee in, and it's a long way from the beautiful tea that you get in Dishoom, for example. But that's my latest thing, because it's a bit sugary. Because I was drinking about 8 or 9 cups of tea and coffee a day. It needed changing up.
How are you alive?
Well, because what would happen if I stopped? That's the question.
Yeah, it's a fair point. That is, yeah.
But so I was drinking a lot just to have something to do, because when you're just sat at your table, when you're going from bed to shower to table for work, those tea breaks in the office used to be my salvation. That's where I'd go and chat. That's where I'd go and sneakily try new material on people.
Right, yeah.
People started avoiding me at the kettle because I was like, I'd be there just loitering, not even with a tea on the go. I was like, hey, salt and pepper shake a day.
What's this about airplane food?
Yeah, exactly that. But just like trying things out. So yeah, I got a reputation to be avoided. But it was just break of the day. I didn't realise how much I was just not doing in the office, because just by virtue of being in an office, I felt they were getting their pound of flesh from me. So I was probably only doing about 3 hours work a day, and the rest was just floating around chatting, distracting other people from work. So when you're then with nothing else but the work to do, and you've done your normal amounts, that leaves you with a lot of time.
Yeah, just drink
to
tea.
just divvy about. So
nice.
yeah.
So would you say Ceylon is your go-to tea, or would you choose English breakfast?
That's my everyday tea. I think Ceylon. It's like wines. It's my Chenin Blanc. It's my base choice. I like a Lapsang Souchong under very specific circumstances.
Yeah.
I've got to be in the mood for that. Bonfire tea, as my husband calls it. But sometimes that's the kind of thing that you want. I got a Twinings tea set with like 9 different boxes. So I got to try all these different ones. And they're the ones that stuck.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, they sent me all their super blends when I started the podcast. I was like, can you send me some tea? And they were like, here's all of our new stuff. And it's great. It's been really good.
I've been cancelled by several people because I don't like Yorkshire tea.
Okay.
I think it's weak. I always have to use 2 bags for Yorkshire tea.
Really?
It just doesn't get to the colour that I want. But I understand that is that is an unpopular opinion.
I mean, it's, I like Yorkshire tea. It's not my favourite. My favourite is a tea called Smuggler's Brew.
Yes.
Have you had it?
No, you tipped me off about it, so I'm going to keep a lookout for it.
Yeah,
but I used to like
Glengettie,
which is like that. You can't find that in shops anymore, but that was my mum's home tea.
Right. Yeah, Smuggler's Brew is like West Country tea, so it's Cornish, and you basically can't find it outside of there, but you can order it online.
Right.
But if you're ever over that way, look out for it because it is delicious.
What kind of strength do you like?
I'm pretty
of an average tea.
I'm pretty medium. I'm probably on the strong side of medium, I would say.
I'd go for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
But if it's brewed hard enough, then it's not hot enough because I like the hotness brew ratio has got to be exactly right for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to leave them too long, and then if it's not piping, I don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
So I've got very weird and specific views about how I like my tea. But when people make it for me and they ask me how I like it made, I will always say made by others because I will prioritize my laziness over the perfect tea. So
it's like
that's
food. It always tastes better when someone else has made it.
Exactly, except when you get presented with like dishwater which just been shown the bag. I've got no time for those people.
Yeah,
no time
at
all.
That is at Screwfix. There's a couple of people who will they'll just offer to make you tea, which is lovely. But there's a couple of them don't regularly drink tea, and it shows. So it's it's very kind, but you sort of they know that you like tea now, so they're like, I'll make you a tea, and if you say no, they're like something's wrong. So,
but I care about people's tea choices. So there was one job I worked in where I refused to make tea because I didn't want to make mediocre tea, and the stress of it was too much for my everyday. So I just recused myself from tea rounds. I was like, don't make me a tea. I will not make one back. This is a hard line that I'm taking. I make my own tea. I don't want to have to make 10 cups. I want to make 1 cup. And people rightly thought I was an absolute arsehole, but it came from a place of love.
Yeah. I'm doing this for you.
Yeah, I'm doing this for you. I don't want to make you a mediocre tea.
Yeah.
And occasionally it was a big deal when I would make tea for somebody. I would open up the rounds and it would be a festival. And do you know what? That was more appreciated than people who make tea every day. So I feel like I'm the winner. I PR'd myself into less work and fanfare for doing a basic, nice thing for people. So I think I don't regret it.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And people love your tea when you do it. Yeah.
Or I occasionally, get influence people into a special tea round where I'd be like, I don't make tea, but I'm going to make one for you. If I wanted to build a bridge.
Yeah.
It was strategic.
Yeah.
The
you go up to them and you say, hey, I don't want to make everyone a tea, but what do you want?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I'll do it for you, babes. Yeah. Once a PR person, always a PR person.
Nice.
You can't shake it off. It can't be washed off, even under a pressure wash.
That's it. I worked in sales and I feel it coming on all the time. Like only a musical instrument, so it was the better end of it, but nevertheless, always there for the upsell.
It's
part of you.
Yeah, it's a good skill set for comedy. I don't think
it really is.
I think I've got a long way with it. Like, am I good, or have I just convinced you I am? You don't know. I don't know at this point.
Yeah.
New clothes. Is she good? Is she naked? We do not know. Tell enough people and get them to say it back. That's the trick.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, do you? I'd sort of assume not if you're having sort of nice fancy teas. But do you dunk a biscuit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've got the Biscoff biscuits as well that I got for Christmas. Yeah, when I'm feeling fancy, I'll get my individually wrapped biscuits and I'll put it on the side of the plate.
Would that be your go-to?
Digestives as well. Not in Ceylon or any kind of like complicated flavored tea, but on a classic Builders.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
What Builders do you have?
I tend to, like I said, I avoid Yorkshire, but I'm pretty open-minded about whatever is on the best offer that is not shit.
Right.
So at the moment it's Tetley. So I've got Tetley caffeine, and they are also the best non-caffeinated choice that I found.
Are they? I've not had non-caffeinated.
Sometimes I want a tea, but if it's at 10 o'clock, that is a poor choice because I don't sleep a lot anyway.
Sure.
So I need to do the best I can to create the circumstance where I might. I've listened to so much Headspace, like stories for adults. And I feel like it's like colouring books. You feel a bit of a dickhead doing it, but it really is. It's what you do. It's like, oh, can you tell me a story, please, GK? There's this one guy I love, and it does work.
Yeah.
So I'm really surprised by it because I did it with Poor Grace when people suggested it to me, because as soon as you say you're not a big sleeper or anything like that, people have always got an idea for you. And I got used to years and years of going, yes, I have tried meditating. Yes, I have tried putting my mobile phone in a different room, which obviously I haven't because I'm not a fool.
No.
But this actually worked. And even if I'm not asleep, I'm completely zoned out. This guy's voice is so good.
Oh, lovely. Sounds great.
Yeah. But yeah, as part of that, when I started doing the Headspace stuff and I was finding myself able to unwind, I thought I could start looking at other things. So I did start stripping out caffeine sort of after a certain point in the evening. And it's a bit Pavlovian. As long as I've got a hot liquid that looks like tea, that tastes like tea. I'm doing it with drinking as well at the moment.
Oh, really?
So I've started swapping in Prosecco for no Secco. And it's the ceremony of it, I think, that I like, because it's kind of a reconfigure. So it's the same with putting the tea bag in, putting your sugar in, making the tea. It's the same Prosecco poured into a flute that's bubbly. Because a lot of the time you don't taste Prosecco, you taste carbon. Aggressively bubbly carbon. And I've kind of managed to trick myself, because I guess it's about creating, because of lockdown, it was about creating breaks in the day. And for me, I got into cocktail hour. So to finish work, because I couldn't physically leave my house and come back or do a commute or go to the pub for one after work, I got into 5:30 would come, the wine would come out, and that was a lot of extra wine in my life. So as we're going back to normal, it was sort of getting it was starting to get earlier as well. It's like 4:30, wine o'clock, and
start the day off.
Alarm bells started to ring. So I thought maybe to reassimilate with the world.
What have you got on your Cheerios? I've got an issue.
I should probably temper this. This airport that I've been living in for a year, where drinking at any point is acceptable.
That's funny.
But so I've been duping in, and Tetley is the best not caffeinated tea I've found so far.
Good knowledge.
It just tastes like average tea, and it gives you a good colour in the mug, which is what I need.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's the colour is important, I find.
It is. Yeah. I think it's a psychological thing.
Yeah. So I've got a couple of questions now that are not necessarily tea related. When I say not necessarily tea related, I mean in no way tea related. What's this one I've written? Oh no, I won't ask that. It's too convoluted. Right, I had.
Oh come on!
No. It's a weird. It's a new one, and I've not worked out how to word it yet. Do you want me to just? I'll give it a go.
Tell me anyway.
Right. So do you know the Cadbury, whatever it is, like Dairy Milk advert, where the child goes into the shop and buys a chocolate bar with like a button and some lint? Do you know that advert?
No.
Do you not? Oh, so there's an advert where this.
Is it new?
No, it went off for a little while and then came back. So it's been around for a bit. But yeah, basically this child is like with his parent, its parent, and the parent's outside the shop, and the child goes in and says to the shopkeeper like, "Oh, I want to buy a chocolate bar for my mum." And the guy looks out and sort of like grabs the chocolate bar, puts it down, and then the child puts like some buttons and some dirt and string and stuff on the counter, and then he sort of looks out at the parent, like gives a sort of a loving look, like he's really kind, and then sort of takes some of the stuff and then gives a button back and says, "And your change." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's lovely." And then the child goes outside, gives the chocolate to the mum, or dad. I think it's a mum. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
A parent.
Yeah, parent.
Yeah.
and then the parent's like, "Oh, thank you very much." Say thank you to the child. Now, it's all well and good, right? It's a nice sort of story, but that parent doesn't turn around and thank the shopkeeper, because I've got a couple of questions to ask. Because number one, why does that parent let the child go into the shop by itself?
Yeah, with no money.
With no
money.
They
know that they've got no revenue stream.
That's exactly
so what
it.
do they think?
They know they've got no money. So how do they think that child's stolen it? And they're like, "Oh, thank you very much for stealing this chocolate for me." Or do they think they've given away some of their possessions? Or like the child come out with like one shoe on? Just like,
Also, would you encourage a child to accept confectionery from an adult? Is that a thing that we're doing? Because I was told very strong terms when I was a kid, you do not accept free chocolate from strangers.
Yeah, exactly. So, whilst the parent is outside just sort of nonchalantly looking around. It's like that parent
watching the child barter in the shop.
Yeah. If anything, it's like that parent has said, "Do you know what? That man in there, he's quite nice. Here's some old crap. Go in there, give it to him. He'll give you some stuff." They're scamming that man.
They are. Yeah. Who knows how many shops they've hit that day?
Yeah, that's the 12th shop they've done, and they keep getting more.
Yeah.
And the advert's like, "Oh, look how nice this man is. Look how much of a mug he is. He's getting mugged by a child."
Or he's a nice man, but look how ignorant the parent is.
Look how easy it is.
Because they don't care about the origin of that chocolate
bar. That's it. Look how easy it is to take advantage of people who are nice. That's what the advert says.
Yeah. That's what it says to me as well. It's like the Pret thing where they said they give free coffee to people who are smiley and dynamic.
Yeah.
And that just made sociopaths go in and get the free things that people who are normally smiley and nice, like me, and I expect probably you, then start getting anxious because you don't want people to think you're being too nice because you expect a free coffee, but then what you consider to be a right level of nice, but then you don't get the free coffee and you feel pissed off. They created
what have I done wrong?
I get it, but they created such an anxious situation for me because I just didn't know what to do right. I didn't want to look like I was angling for free coffee, but also I sort of felt I deserved it because I'd been consistently nice throughout my life to these people. Yeah, I hated that. I hated that whole thing. Yeah. And I wrote a whole article about it for Standard Issue when it was a website, like slagging it off. Then I got a free salad one day and I felt like I'd won the lottery.
Yeah.
And I accepted it, but I didn't feel morally right accepting it because I had slagged it off to whoever wanted to listen. Yeah. But yeah, and it was from a girl as well because I was like, "Oh, fit people will get free coffee, or what about the rest of us?" And it was a woman. She was just like, "You can have that for free." And I was like, "Shut up."
Amazing.
I get this for free. Me? Thank you so much.
I got a free breakfast pot in there once. That was nice.
Oh,
yeah.
What a rush.
Yeah, it was amazing.
What a rush to get it right.
I didn't know they did that at the time. Like I was doing some theatre work at the time, and I went in there with a friend of mine, and it was like sort of mid-morning. We'd both been up for hours, and we're in like sort of dirty clothes of like work boots and stuff, and just like, "Oh, hello," it's sort of being fairly nice, and they were just like, "Oh, you can have this breakfast for free," and I walked out going, "But we're like, what do you mean? Do we have to pay for it? Like, what do you mean free? Like, how do we pay?
I don't want your pity breakfast."
Yeah. I'm not homeless, but thank you. That's
It is. It's a challenging thing.
Yeah.
It's such a hipster thing to do. But to like incentivize niceness doesn't feel good to me.
No.
But if it makes people nicer and they have to try harder to be nice, I guess the net benefit remains. But I don't feel good about fake niceness to get free stuff. It's audacious of me as a PR person.
Well, then I shouldn't tell you that I got loads and loads of free tea from companies that I just emailed and said, "I'll talk about your tea," and they sent me loads of free tea.
Oh, I'm on a very hardcore campaign at the moment to get free stuff from either Snag Tights or Joni. Like I tag them in everything.
Okay.
People do legitimately ask me where I've got my clothes from, and I always tell them. So I just feel like, give me some sugar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
but yeah, I keep DMing them and like, "Thanks for sharing your pictures." I was like, "Where's my free stuff?"
Yeah, I'll send them the clip where you're talking about how good they are, and
Not how I want free stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe leave that bit out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll make it
I
subtle.
think the best I can hope for is probably some kind of toilet roll sponsor,
Oh,
because no
that'd be
matter
good.
what the subject matter is of the podcast, we'll go through 4 or 5 topics on average. Someone will always tell me a story about being sick or some kind of toilet abomination. It's just it's probably the strongest theme that runs through the court. And for a while, my husband wouldn't believe I wasn't prompting it.
Amazing.
I've just got the kind of face that people want to talk to me about going to the toilet. I don't know what it is. I don't know what this vibe is that I'm giving off when people want to overshare with me.
I tell everyone about going to the toilet.
Gráinne Maguire was probably my favourite story ever, and she opened the story by saying, "Oh, I remember the first day of lockdown really vividly. I shit myself in public," and it's a brilliant episode because I could not stop laughing, and all you could hear in the background underneath is like people trying to talk and tell their stories, and I am just howling with laughter, like completely. I'd lost the run of myself.
Well, I'm going to save a story for you because I've got a story about how I shit myself at work. And
see, it's happening again.
No, well, the thing is, I'm currently looking at how I can turn it into a material because it's a very funny story that ends.
Well, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help you with that. But yeah,
a very
save
amusing
it
way.
for the
But
show.
I will save it. Yeah. The
categories are broad enough. You can always shoehorn that stuff in. Apparently,
yeah.
You'll be like, "Oh, bad dates." Like, did I tell you when I shut my?
It's a good
Every
one.
time it happens, like it has taken 30 episodes for my husband to concede that I am not in any way prompting it. It is just spontaneous sharing.
Yeah. I'll also
it's just the vibe.
I'll keep in my back pocket the story of the time that I wet myself just before a gig.
Oh no! Yeah. Yes, no spoilers, please.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tease because no one on this, none of my podcast listeners have heard those stories either. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's I'm booking season 2 at the moment. I'll send you the date.
Oh yeah, amazing.
So
yeah, I'm in. Right now, so that was an amazing bit of conversation that came from me telling you about that advert. That's not what the question was going to be. The question was going to be because when I watched that, I'm screaming at the TV. Like, no, that's not how things, like, he's being scammed. So what adverts do you hate and make you scream at the TV?
There aren't many that I feel that passionately about. Like I said, I get more angry about like PR campaigns that I know are cynically built behind the scenes. So like the Caterpillar thing, for example, really annoyed me because the Aldi are positioning themselves as the little man, like the corner shop to M&S's
the
giant
multinational little
man.
man.
Aldi is a exactly. They are bigger than M&S. They're the bully.
Are they really?
They're the bully in this because basically all M&S want is for them to change the face on the Caterpillar.
Yeah, it's an exact copy.
Because they have trademarked that face. It belongs to them.
Yeah.
So this is actually a really boring story about who owns the trademark on a caterpillar's face, that they've somehow made M&S into this pantomime villain. Just like give it eyebrows or something. But they've made a whole business out of duping products. Like that's the thing. Like you go in and you laugh at it because it's like, it's definitely L'Oreal and it's a red bottle and it's got all the branding on it that looks like L'Oreal, but they've called it Chin. They've built a whole business on it, and they're just ripping people off left, right, and centre, which is great. And it's, if that's the way they want to do business, but this is a very boring case of intellectual property. And if it was a picture that somebody had drawn, like an independent artist on Twitter, you know how that goes when a big brand rips off a design. So say a print goes on ASOS that a small trader has made. Everybody loses their mind. It's just 2 big players that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with it. And everyone took a side and they tried to distract by going, oh, let's give the money to charity. It's like, no, you're still in the wrong.
Yeah.
Just change the face of the caterpillar. But it's been an absolute PR tour de force. It's the same with that terrible beans on Weetabix thing.
Yeah.
Hateful. Like brands getting involved in that. I find I'm embarrassed for them. It's like, why are you spooning beans onto glasses, Specsavers? What are you doing? Like, that's the stuff that really winds me up.
Yeah,
for sure.
Nice.
And things that they know are going to be controversial, like the Pret thing. Like, oh, we're going to give out coffee to fit people, like that kind of stuff. I love it and I hate it at the same time because I've been part of that machine. I know. I do these campaigns myself. I once found out the golden ratio and applied it to cars. The golden ratio is about the ratio of like the perfect face, and I put it on cars. And we found out the smart car was the most beautiful car in the world based on the golden ratio, and people were furious. And that was fine. So we didn't care what they felt about our story. We just cared about them writing about our story.
Yeah,
so
of course.
It works.
That's who was it said that? It was Andy Warhol said, "Don't pay attention to what they say; just measure it in inches."
Yeah, and it's exactly that. It's like people were dragging us to hell, going, "How can you say this is the most beautiful car? This is a car company." We're like, "Keep printing it. We love it. Keep giving us links. It helps our SEO."
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've done a lot of stuff like that. I did a campaign once where we rendered what we thought a mobile phone hand of the future would look like. So basically, we wanted to suggest that hands were evolving for mobile phone use. We could not get an evolutionary biologist to put their name to it for no money. We offered a lot of money out. Couldn't get anybody to even agree that it was possible. It takes thousands of years for you to mutate, and by that point the phones would be smaller. We did it anyway.
I think I read that.
Yeah, American press loved it. Fox News probably ran it every day for about 7 days. Like, this is what's going to happen to your hands. Take your mobile phones off your children. It was just, we just designed it for a laugh. We were like, oh, your finger's going to get longer, your thumb's going to get fatter. There's going to be suckers to hold your phone. Like, it was hokum, but absolutely, like,
that's
tour
amazing.
de force of PR.
That is incredible.
So that's my day job. Nonsense.
I'm going to ask one.
That's a good question, though. I think you'll probably get some good answers off that.
Yeah, I hope so.
Glad we went there.
Yeah, absolutely. That I mean, when I re-listen to this, I'll restructure that question and make it succinct. But that was nice, excellent answer. I'm trying to. Thing is, that was so good that I sort of want to end it there, but I feel like I should ask another question.
Okay.
But if it doesn't work out, then I'll.
That it ended there.
Yeah.
And no one needs to talk about it.
I'll edit it very well. Maybe I'll have a question for this. I asked this of Eureka because I had a really weird dream a few weeks ago that caused me to wake up, and about 3 a.m. I googled what is the coldest that Julie Walters has ever been. Have you ever woken up from a dream and asked what's the weirdest question you've asked as a result of a weird dream? Is I think the question that I'll ask.
Oh, I don't know, actually. My dreams aren't usually that weird. Like, they're pretty generically weird.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I'm going out with, like, Leonardo DiCaprio, but it's also my colleague at the same time.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to express that. I have, like, felt differently about people on the back of dreams, though. Like,
have you? Because
Matt from Busted, as an example,
Yeah.
right? Had no interest and no sexual interest in any member of Busted
Yeah.
whatsoever. They were on my radar. They did some little pop bangers, but none of them floated my boat. I had a dream where he was my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And like, in that way that time's elastic, like in my dream, he was my boyfriend for many, many months.
Yeah.
And he was just lovely. And then from that day on, I just fancied him every time I saw him. And I had all these warm feelings about him from our time spent together, even though we spent no time together. Because but it just completely changed in my mind. We had a 6-month relationship. I don't know how it ended, but because we didn't get to that. But he was very considerate, lovely boyfriend. So
That's
now
amazing.
I look at him and I just want the best for him all the time. But yeah.
He
but
treated
not my
me
type
so
at
well.
all. Like, I'd be Charlie if I had to pick one or die. I'd be Charlie
Yeah.
before that point. But now, I see him doing well. I see he's married well, and I just want the best for him. Like, genuinely, we had a lovely time.
That is amazing.
It was beautiful.
Oh, that's perfect. That's really good. I like that. Nice. Yeah, I think I may change that question so that it's like what dream has changed your mind or something of that variety. Because I've or what dream stayed with you the most, sort of in the because I once woke up and a couple of times my wife's woken up and has been angry with me about something that I've done in her dream.
Oh yeah,
which is
that's a very real
classic.
That's a real thing.
But I once woke
my
up.
My favourites are ones where I've got kids or I'm pregnant and I wake up and I'm not. I'm like, oh, that is a win.
Yeah.
This life, for all its faults, is the good life.
Nice. Oh, excellent. Right. Well, you need to go and do some actual work, and I, for the sake of telling you about it, I need to go to the toilet.
Okay, thanks. You know this is a safe space.
Yeah,
for sharing
absolutely.
that kind of information, so that's fine. But yeah, I'd love to come back. This has been really fun.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'll definitely. Well, I mean, it's all coming back to sort of normal sooner than we're thinking it is. So that's so good. I'll have you on probably this year. We'll see. But
And hopefully we'll meet. I'll let you know about the gigs that are coming back.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
I need to check they're good first, basically.
Yeah.
Well, it's just hard to know what audiences will come back. Now there are other offers, I guess.
Yeah.
So
it's so convenient to, like, we did that gig for Outside the Box the other week, and that was, I would say, that was among my favourite online gigs that I've done. And it's so nice to be able to do that gig with like acts of such a high level, and then like I'm still sort of, you know, you don't get to hang out with them and chat with them after, but you do get to log off and then go to bed immediately. And that's absolutely the beauty of it.
It's you're right though, none of it feels real to me. Like if these had been real gigs that I'd done, I would be absolutely buzzing for the rest of the week. But because whatever happens, whatever the gig is, you just close your laptop and you're back.
Yeah,
like coming through the wardrobe of Narnia, and you're just back in real life. It's been really hard to take them in the spirit that I would have.
Because sometimes
I'm hoping I can keep doing gigs at that level outside.
I'm sure you
but
will.
It's hard to know. Because there'll be a lot of comedians that haven't bothered with Zoom, wanting to come back, wanting that space, and I guess it'll be interesting to see how open the circuit is. To people who aren't as well known.
But you know, you're doing well. You're rising fast. So I'm sure it'll be all good. Because that's all I was going to say earlier when I asked how long you've been going. Because like yours is a name that I've seen around loads in the past sort of however many months, and maybe it's your PR background, but you've just sort of you've risen above a lot of other people that have been going sort of for slightly longer probably, which is great.
It's just prepared to do anything really. And they're like all the Zoom gigs.
Yeah, and your podcast's doing well, so yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's cool. It's good to see. It's really good to see. So yeah, well done. Sorry, that sounded really patronising. Did it? It wasn't supposed to.
No, I get it.
Yeah, it's cool.
But no, I totally get it. But I think I enjoy the idea that I'm showing people a different way of doing things.
Absolutely.
Because I was told a lot of prohibitive things by gatekeepers about how long you'll have to be going before you're considered for gigs, how much you need to do.
Yeah.
And I guess like I've been trying to prove that there is another route in beyond the
there absolutely
usual.
Is. Have you gigged much outside of London?
I set up my own night in Cardiff, and it was one of my favourites to do because the Welsh comedy scene is incredible.
Yeah, it's lovely.
The talent there is insane at like allegedly open mic level, but they were the most professional, the slickest gigs I've done. Like genuinely, the talent there is bonkers, and the will to put on good gigs as well. So everybody is so focused on it and so collaborative. I wanted to be part of it real bad, and that's where I'm from. So I just wanted to be in the gang. I couldn't get into any of the Welsh gigs because it's not a closed circuit per se, but there are enough Welsh talents available. They didn't need to import anybody in who was doing loads of gigs in London. So I had to put my own on to bulldoze my way in. But it's gorgeous. Yeah. It's really nice. Robin Morgan-Ness of Sears are doing so much to put like South Wales on the map, and it's exciting to see. They're the gigs I want to do the most. If I'm looking at all the sort of pro gigs and the established nights, I want to get in on those. Similar with like Bristol, like the work that Mark Olver's doing is incredible. And the audiences are always lovely, and the progression is great, and they look after each other in a way that you don't see so much in London.
No, well, that's very much the thing. Is the gatekeepers that exist are largely in London, and very often completely inconsequential to the entire comedy world. But within their own bubble, they are the god, the judge, jury, and executioner. But and it's quite funny because obviously, like a lot of people who are London based or near London think that is the be all and end all for quite a long time, and as soon as you start gigging outside of London, you're like, this is better.
I'd rather do a middle five on a Cardiff or Bristol gig than a headline slot on an open mic.
Absolutely, because there's quite a few people in London who thought I'd quit comedy because they hadn't seen me in ages, and I was like, oh no, I've just been doing really good gigs like elsewhere.
Just doing better gigs.
Yeah.
But there are some really, really good ones, and they're really inclusive. And like I said, I think the biggest obstacle with Wales and Bristol was proving that I was prepared to spend the money to come for an unpaid gig. Because they don't expect you to. And I'm lucky that I've started so late that I managed to build up this career that funds me being able to go and do those gigs and not have to worry so much about the money. It's a huge privilege.
Because it's also difficult to not undervalue yourself. Because when you start saying like, oh yeah, I'll travel to Manchester for no money, and they're like, you can't be that good because that's not. So yeah, it's difficult of having no name and going, I'm only going to come up for minimum X amount of money, and they're like, but who are you? Just like, I'm good, honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the podcast has done me a huge favour in terms of reputation, because it's allowed me to be next to names that I could have only dreamt about being next to. And it's because I booked them.
Yeah.
Because I've done some gigs that I've run, and people are like, how'd you get on that gig? And I'm like, because it's my gig.
Yeah.
That's how. Because you see people sharing posts and you just assume that they're on the bill.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, how'd you get onto this gig with these guys? It's like, I put it on.
That's
how
I
got on
myself.
It's my gig. I booked myself.
I asked myself and I said yes.
Yeah, I was free that night. So I was already there. So
that's the old build it and they will come, isn't it? That's build it for yourself. And but that's sort of the model that Louisa Umulan had for her own career. Is she wasn't getting booked by the sort of the gatekeepers, so she went, all right, fine, I'm going to write a book and release a show and absolutely smash it. And she's huge now. So.
Yeah, there are more ways of doing it, and I think you've got to want to do the work though.
Yeah,
it's the difference between shortcuts, which people don't really want to believe exist and don't want to buy into. And privilege is a shortcut in its own sense. Shortcuts, or doing the work, but doing the work in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think people confuse the two.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is a shortcut. This is the hardest I've ever worked for the least reward comedy. And
but when it pays off eventually, it'll be well worth it.
But I love it. I don't regret a single minute of it.
Yeah.
So it's been a real life-changing thing. And when I didn't expect, because I started doing this at 35, I did not think there was another path that was so at odds with the career that I built, with the life that I built, that I was broadly happy with. I did not envision such a knee-jerk change.
Yeah.
But don't know what I did before now.
No. That's amazing, though. That's really cool. What an excellent journey to be on. And I'm sort of.
It's like a Marvel style origin story now. It's almost embarrassing. It's so cinematic in its thing, and like every time I tell people it sounds as ridiculous to me as it does to other people. Like, oh, I did a course to get over a confidence problem. Mark Watson saw me and put me on his show in the Pleasance, and now I do this.
Yeah.
So like,
if it was a DC story, then soon you'd be killing people
or dead.
Yeah.
Absolutely, but it's pure Marvel. It's all Technicolor and beautiful, and the costumes are great.
Did you say Mark Watson put you on?
Yeah, he booked me for his 26-hour charity show.
Oh, amazing!
And he challenged me to learn stand-up for charity.
Cool.
So that's how I started, and that's how I got my first gig. That's how I met Tom Tuck, because Tom Tuck was one of the people that coached me, and then he booked me for ACMS. So my first gig was paid, and it was the nicest gig I've ever done.
ACMS is lovely.
They were so lovely, such lovely people. And then they let me come back and do my 100th with them.
Oh, great.
And made a real fuss of me. So it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
But yeah, a series of unlikely events, basically. And that was all because we followed each other on Twitter. So
amazing. Oh, that's really cool.
A modern day fairy tale.
Yeah. Nice. And right, I need the toilet slightly more. So a lovely place to end.
On that note, I will hopefully see you again soon.
Absolutely. So have you? What do you want to plug? Like, you've obviously got your podcast and your gigs.
Podcast is the thing that's costing me the most money, so probably we'd start with that. So that's Comedy Arcade, available everywhere where good and bad podcasts are found, because it's open source. So you can make your own decision on where I am.
Also, I want to point out that you said earlier about how I wanted money to get other guests. That's not. It was never supposed to be that. That is literally to help me fund.
I just thought I'd let you know that if you are of self-esteem of a certain level, that can help.
Yeah, no, I know. I word things badly sometimes.
But I'm doing some new material gigs,
yes,
which are terrifying. So I'm at Brighton Fringe on June the 3rd, doing my show I Feel Pretty, but the R is in brackets. It's all about pettiness.
Yeah. Nice.
And I'm doing it again at the Cavendish. So I've got 2 dates at the Cavendish as well in Stockwell, which will be lovely. The one in July I'm doing with Fiona Allen, Smack the Pony Legends, and Ace stand-up. Like, she was new to stand-up when I started.
Oh,
She
really?
decided she wanted to give it a try because she'd never done straight stand-up before. Oh my God, her timing was perfect. She was like
Yeah.
very early gigs. And so she was just doing like the same open mics as me with like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
5
yeah.
People and a Dog. And I'm like, this is the woman that, like, a trailblazer for women in comedy.
Yeah,
and she's
absolutely.
doing these gigs with me. What is going on? So, but yeah, she's going to come and do my July show with me.
Amazing.
So.
Well done. That's great.
And I've got a special guest in June, but I don't know who that guest is yet because they haven't confirmed.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's just a special guest.
Yeah.
There will be someone else who's definitely good if you're worried that I'm not.
And another very good person to join a very good person, right? That's the...
Yeah, that's what I'd like to believe. But just in case people aren't as certain of that as I am, or as I will be when I've written it.
Yeah.
I'm doing Elf Lyons' course next week, actually.
Yeah, she's
the How to Write a Solo Show. Some would say I shouldn't have marketed it and done a photo shoot for it before I had it, but fuck those people.
Build it and they will come. It's
exactly.
Slightly different, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll catch up and I'll tell you if that was true.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Go and have your wee.
I will. Yes, I absolutely will. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Right,
I'll
speak to you again soon.
Yeah, we'll speak soon.
An absolute joy.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks. See you later.
Bye.
I don't know why I waved. So that was Vix Leyton. If you want to find her on social media, because I got distracted by my own need for the toilet, so I didn't ask for her social links properly. So if you want to follow her on Twitter, she is at PRVix, PR the letters, and then Vix as in her name, PRVix, at PRVix on Twitter. And if you want to find her on Instagram, it is at Vix Leyton. Her name's spelled in the title, so just read that and then go and find her on Instagram. Go and find out about the gigs that she's putting on, because I've not done them personally, but I know a lot of the people that do, and they are an incredible level of comedian. And her podcast looks absolutely smashing as well, and I do need to listen to. The problem is, right, I normally listen to podcasts when I'm driving to gigs, and we're in lockdown. Obviously, I've not been driving to gigs, so I've not been listening to anywhere near as many podcasts as I normally would do. So I'm looking forward to gigs coming back so that I can get listening to more podcasts. I can catch up on the ones that I'm still listening to that I would have finished by now had I been driving to gigs. And I'm going to start listening to new ones, including her one, because she has some incredible guests on it, and including several past guests of this podcast. And I've seen a lot of the video clips that she puts up, and it looks like a lot of fun. I've got a new website. So go and check that out if you can. It's all brand new and all shiny and fancy. It's just sideeves.com. It's the same one as before, but it's got a brand new look. I've put a lot of work into that, and I'm really proud of it. So please go and have a look and let me know what you think of it. You can also see the gigs that I've got coming up on there. As I mentioned during the show, I'm doing Comedy Cabin in London. I can't remember where exactly in London, but it's in London. So I'm doing that at the end of this month, in a couple of weeks. Very excited for that. That's one of my first gigs back in real life, in a real venue, indoors. So that's, yeah, I'm beyond excited for that one. And it's a lovely little gig. So pop down if you're in London or near and want to travel and see a gig, because it's going to be lovely. And I've also got some other gigs booked, and Vix has as well. So go and check out what dates she's got coming up. But yeah, I'm going to be booking some extra gigs for myself. I think I'm going to be looking into booking a work in progress or two. Not entirely certain where. If you've got a request for me to come to a certain area, then get in touch. Just teapartypod@gmail.com, or get in touch through my website. There's a contact page on there. Let me know where you want me to come and do a work in progress show, and I'll absolutely come there and do that. Yeah, just let me know, and I'll be there with belt on to peddle my comedy wares. I've got a lot of really great stories that have developed also during lockdown, because the show that I'm working on is about my eye surgery, of which I had more during lockdown. So it's all developed, and it's all coming to a place where there's a great story. So yeah, come and listen to that. And please, if you can, as I previously mentioned, support the podcast if you can, and send a little bit of money. There's going to be some merch available soon. I'm talking to my graphic designer friend who designed all my past posters and the artwork for the podcast. He's helping me put together some merch, so there's going to be, at the very least, some mugs, probably like coasters and stickers, and maybe t-shirts, we'll see. But yeah, there's going to be loads of stuff available, and I'm very excited for you to all see that. So that's going to be available on my website soon as well, so go and check that out when that is available. In the meantime, thanks for listening. I look forward to seeing you soon. I love you. Goodbye.